history, not Chinese yet.
I just come from Chinese, this morning with Brian.
Okay, let's get started. Oh. I should have going back. Come on.
G'day, Gilbert.
G'day, Gilbert.
Hi, Gilbert.
Hello, Stuart. Running a bit late this morning.
Just in time, no problem. Okay, let me start the share screen. Come on. Should be this one. No, this one. Okay, can you see the share screen?
Yes, it's fine.
Human characteristics. Okay. So we now come to us now. So we have moved from the beginning of the universe about our world and then now about us. So let's look at what are the characteristics of us first. So here are some of the characteristics of modern human. I specify modern human, and then later on we'll look at some previous human being. First of all, we control fire. Or basically, I should change it to we control a lot of different kinds of energy. We will brush, our face will turn red. I don't know whether there's other, I think there's other animals which their face can turn red. We have a very long childhood. Basically, we don't grow up until we die. So, and we have a long life after the end of having children. So after we ceased reproductive, we still have a long life after that. We wear clothes. We modify our environment. We exchange means we exchange things between our fellow human beings. We have speech. We stand upright. We are bipedal. We are naked, meaning we don't have hair in our body. Basically, put it that way. I know that there are still some people having a bit of hair in their chest and so on, but this kind of hair doesn't protect us like the other animals' hair. But of course, there are animals without hair. We have.
But we're talking about nakedness.
Nakedness
the thing that has always intrigued me about humanity are the eyebrows, which is that little bit of hair which is left over.
Why we have that little bit of hair is puzzling, isn't it? I don't know. I don't understand why.
Because we've got stops the sweat from going into your eyes. If just a little bit,
yeah.
Or possibly a token sunshade.
That sort of thing. Yeah, token.
Maybe.
And then we have opposite thumbs. That means our thumbs can touch every fingers.
Yeah.
Except itself, of course. And then we have a very large brain. Our brain is really, really large.
Some people can use it.
Some people still haven't learned how to use it, the brain correctly. That's true. And then
stop talking about me, Albert.
Tool making. We mix a lot of tools. And then now we have tools making tools as well. So we also make use of other animals, like farming. We have chicken, we have pigs, we have horses. We use of other animals. So I think there are a lot of other characteristics as well. So these are
Could
some.
also be the only animals which have pets of other animals.
No,
No.
No?
no.
Ants have aphids.
They farm them.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
More than one. There's another animal also have pets. I can't remember which one. Two, except us, there are two other animals. Ants definitely farm aphids.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, of course, not every kind of ants. Okay.
No,
No.
but some ants.
This is another sortilist walking upright to making large brain. We eat cooked food mostly. Of course, we eat some of them raw, but we basically eat lots of cooked food.
From
To eat
choice.
animals we cook.
Yeah, we are social. Just
And
like
of course, our pets also eat cooked food, but that's because of their association with humanity.
yes, because we force them to eat cooked food.
Yep.
My dog is still eating raw.
Yeah. Greyhounds eat raw.
Yeah. And then bodies, social life, language and symbols. That is quite interesting. We have quite a complicated ability to use language and symbols. We change the world, but so are other animals. But so that's just a degree.
Basically, we deliberately modify our environment.
Yeah, I'd say the word trash the environment.
We dump our rubbish.
That's the end result.
So what are the real difference in terms of all this? So let's look at some of them. So that's why I call it human characteristic 1, because I'm going to look at it in a number of different meetings. So how other animals use tools? So are we the only animals that use tools? Let's see.
No.
Obviously not. Okay, let's see. Play.
Little video. Go, little video.
Is there a play here? This is frustrating all the time. Eh? Come on, play. No.
No. Let's try that.
Come back.
Come back.
Come back. Come back. I need to find a way to use the keynote properly. At the moment, I'm using the.
I don't know how to do that either.
This one, yep, play. Come on, play.
Come on, little monkey.
I can see it. It's a baboon, isn't it?
Let me just play the video itself rather than depending on it.
I think that's the thing. You have to get the video to play.
Yeah, I want to get the video to play. So,
How are you going to share that?
no, still
Hi,
not
it's
playing.
Katrina. From scratching an itch to making their own weapons, here are 8 animals that use tools and are probably smarter than you think. Number 8, bears. Until 2012, there was very little evidence of tool use among mammals other than primates. In March of that year, the New Scientist reported that the year before, Volker Dieck of the University of Cumbria in the UK was visiting Glacier Bay National Park in Alaska when he spotted a brown bear taking a bath. Not just a regular bath, he even had his own barnacle-encrusted rock to use as a loofah to scratch its neck and muzzle. When brown bears molt, they get itchy, and these rocks help them to get off that loose fur. Bears are intimidating enough on their own. The thought of one wielding a weapon is utterly terrifying. In 1972, researchers heard of polar bears hitting a seal over the head with a chunk of ice. but so far no scientist has been able to witness that behavior in person. However, this little bear bath isn't scary at all. Volker Dieck argued in the journal Animal Cognition that the tool was an extension of the bear's natural exfoliation habits. He pointed out that the bear's behavior was most likely to relieve irritated skin or remove food particles from its fur in more or less the same way that a bear rubs against a tree trunk or another stationary object. There is a catch, however. Dieck continued on to say that the bear's use of a rock was indicative of sophisticated mental processes in terms of both general intelligence and fine motor skills. This is a possible reason that bears have the largest brain relative to body size among all carnivores. Number 7. Coconut octopus. While it's common for marine invertebrates to hide opportunistically behind rocks and corals, using them as tools is practically unheard of. Amphiooctopus marginatus, less formally known as the coconut octopus, was the first known species that gathers materials for its shelter and actually plans ahead. The 2-inch-long Indonesian cephalopod is known to gather discarded coconut shells and has even been observed swimming with them up to 50 feet, then arranging them on the ocean floor for later use. This behavior was first filmed in 2009 in North Sulawesi, Indonesia, by a team of biologists from the Museum Victoria in Melbourne, Australia. In the clip, one of the creatures is seen carrying 2 coconut shell halves along the ocean floor before stopping, pulling them together, and climbing inside. Julian Finn, the museum's curator for invertebrates and also the person who captured the act on film, considers the coconut carrying an example of tool use. Not all scientists are convinced, however. Marine biologist James Wood, for example, doesn't consider the use of a coconut shell as a house to constitute true tool usage. Instead, he believes that only when an object is used by an animal to interact with and change an environment is it truly a tool. Where do you draw the line when it comes to what constitutes tool use by an animal? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know what you think. Number 6. Crows. Contrary to what many people think, crows are incredibly intelligent, even if they can be a bit creepy. Writer Care Than refers to them as the MacGyvers of the avian world, and for good reason. Crows use a variety of objects to make tools, including twigs, leaves, and even their own feathers. These tools are typically used for obtaining hard-to-reach food, or for rooting insects out of dead wood. It's thought that crows acquire their tool-making skills through both nature and nurture. One study suggests that young crows are born with a propensity for making tools, but become truly proficient at it by watching their elders. When it comes to finding novel uses for everyday objects, crows from the Pacific island of New Caledonia, located to the east of Australia, are master toolmakers compared to crows in other parts of the world. Their skills rank them at the equivalent of chimps and second only to humans. These highly intelligent crows craft tools to specific needs. First, they identify a problem. Then they design an appropriate tool to remedy this problem. Birds on different parts of the island craft tools in slightly varying shapes, indicating the presence of a culture of tool technology that is on par with humans. This theory was put to the test by researchers from the University of Oxford, who raised 4 Caledonian crows, 2 of which were shown how to make tools, while the other 2 were not. All 4 crows ended up using sticks to retrieve other sticks from crevices for food, which helped scientists determine that they are, in fact, born with an innate ability to make and use tools. However, the 2 crows that received lessons on toolmaking were much more efficient and skilled at doing so. The insights gained from this research could be useful for studying how tool use evolved among humans. Besides all that, crows are very smart and can remember faces, so if you see one, be nice to it. And now for number 5. But first, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We have lots of new videos coming up. Plus, I'd love to have you here. Number 5. Capuchin monkeys. Crows aren't the only animals that researchers from the University of Oxford have been studying in recent years. In June of 2016, new findings were released. It turns out that monkeys residing in Brazil have been using stones to open cashews for an astounding 7 centuries. Lydia V. Luntz, one of the study's authors, believes that the stone-smashing activities of the Capuchin monkeys probably goes back further than 700 years, stating the 1300s just happened to be the radiocarbon-dated time in the layers of soil in which the stone tools were found. We definitely expect this to go beyond 700 years. Michael Haslam, the lead author, previously wrote about archaeological evidence of macaques in Thailand using stone tools to split nuts and shellfish, meaning that the use of tools by primates is nothing new. This recent study in Brazil is, however, remarkable due to geography. It was the first of its kind to happen outside of Africa or Asia. Published in the journal Current Biology, the Oxford paper suggests the somewhat controversial idea that humans are actually influenced watching monkeys use tools. The authors also speculate that the new arrivals to the New World learned that cashews were edible by watching the monkey. I don't know. What do you guys think? Number 4, elephants. The most commonly used tool among elephants is that of a branch as a fly swatter. Not only do these highly intelligent giants who have impressive memory spans pull branches from trees to keep bugs off their skin, they modify these branches to maximize the effectiveness of their use. One study, which was conducted in India and consisted of 13 Asian elephants, found that 8 of them modified branch use by stomping on the larger branches and ripping smaller, more appropriately sized ones off. In addition to elephants using makeshift back scratchers, some have been seen using stripped tree bark to plug small watering holes. This prevents the water from being drunk by other animals and from evaporating. In extreme cases, some especially aggressive elephants have used large rocks to breach electric fences. Pretty smart. Number 3, orangutans. To understand how orangutans utilize branches, sticks, and leaves, picture the ways screwdrivers, power drills, and other tools. These guys rely mainly on sticks as multi-purpose utensils, wielding them to pry insects out of trees or dig seeds out of fruit. They also use leaves as gloves for harvesting prickly plants, as umbrellas to shield themselves from the rain, or rolled up into tubes like megaphones for amplifying their calls. Orangutans in Borneo use bundles of leaves to make improvised whistles. When under a perceived threat, one will ward off predators by making a crude instrument that alters their calls, using leaves stripped from a twig. Because orangutans are somewhat solitary animals, they don't use distress calls. It would take too long for the nearest orangutan to respond to one. Instead, this hissing sound, made by a sharp intake of air through pursed lips, is not a distress call, but is meant to make the threatening animal go away. Scientists weren't sure at first why orangutans used leaves when making this noise. One study suggested that the frequency of the kiss squeak was lowered by the use of the tool, which may make the orangutan sound bigger to its predator. According to study team member Madeline Hardis of the University of Utrecht in the Netherlands, an unaided kiss squeak from a bigger orangutan would have a lower frequency, suggesting the desire among smaller ones to make themselves sound bigger by artificially lowering the frequency. Because the use of tools for enhancing the kiss squeaks was only observed
or some kind of danger has entered into their area. And although when we think about auditory information, for example, even if